that would be a tiered question. I mean, there is not a VFX field. There are like, there are fields within VFX, right? So there is automation, there is prep, there is compositing, there is FX, there is 3D texturing, lighting, rendering. There are like scores and scores of stuff is there. So now what you have a good eye about, if you are really with a like on a RC background you are on, if you are really high on that, right, you can go for DMPs, right? Like movies nowadays, like whatever you see the furthest, right, like whatever you see which is very far away, the mountains, the skies, the galaxies and stuff, which is very far away, they are not actually made in 3D, right? So they are hand drawn with a like tablet, and like someone like who's very good at art, like they draw it, right, and then we put it in the background, right? And that is very high detail. So if you are good in art, you can choose DMP. If you are let's say if you are good at if you are very technical, then you can be a technical director, right? If you are good with computers, you can be a technical director. You can help artists do their work, right? If you are half artist, semi artistic, if you are like a little bit good with your pen tablets, right, you can do prep, right? In prep you have to basically, let's say Superman is flying, right? I hope everyone knows he can't fly. Henry Cavill cannot fly. So they like tie a rope to his waist, and then they hang him, right? So someone has to remove that rope. Okay, it's not just that rope that has to be removed. Wherever that rope attaches, that particular piece of cloth has a pull on it, right? So it is like very wrinkly. So someone has to crease it down. Someone has to make it like plain. Someone has to do that properly so that it doesn't look like early days of Shaktiman, basically. So it doesn't look like that. So yeah. So if you are good in that, or at least if you have taken yourself to that level, right? So then do a prep, go for the prep department. Now, if you have a keen eye for detail, right? If you have a keen eye for like how to get multiple elements, right? How to get sky from somewhere else. If you have get 3D element from somewhere else. If you have a 3D character, like I am standing, or like live action character, I'm standing like from somewhere else, and merge them together so it feels like a coherent image, right? If you have skills to do that, or at least if you want to do that, then come into compositing, right? So yeah, again, what you want to do has to be consistent with what you can do or what you are able to learn, right? So if you want to learn about all these career opportunities, learn about all these fields, and whatever drives you, whatever you feel passionate about, go for that. Okay, be very focused. Don't try to do everything. You won't be able to make a movie. Forget about movie. To make a single shot, it takes not dozens, hundreds and hundreds of people. You won't be able to do everything. Students sometimes do that. They want to impress people, and they're like, okay, fine, I'll do it, A to Z everything. You can't do that. Okay, just focus on what you want to do and be absolutely brilliant at that. Just having a mediocre show reel, all in all, from the start to finish, and having done everything yourself is not that impressive. Yeah, you focus on one field and be absolute best at that, absolutely awesome at that, and that would really impress whosoever is looking to hire you. That would be my advice to you guys. So like I was saying, let's start with rotomation. That's the first job people generally have in VFX field. So rotomation is basically you have to separate something from an image, right? So let's say I'm standing over here, your boss or your supervisor has told you, fine, it has to be space around here, there has to be a moon over here, the background has to be different, right? But you have to have Utkarsh in the frame. So what you need to do is basically you have to separate me from this entire image, right? So sometimes it can be done automatically. I mean, not automatically, but there are procedural ways to do that. But many a times it has to be done manually, right? And that takes hard work. So how do we do that? Is we basically, there is a software, and software we draw a line. I hope everyone has used Photoshop. So you have a pen tool, right? So you draw a line, right? You draw a line here, you draw a line here, and take it out. Okay, now that everyone must have done that if they have used Photoshop. But if you have done that, then you know that it's very complex to do the hairs, right? If I'm like a boy, so it's not not gonna be that big of a deal. But if it was a woman, right, let's say, so yeah, so they have long hairs, or people who have fluffy hairs, curly hairs. So that's a very difficult, challenging task, right? So people do that, and they're really incredible and really skilled. Yeah, one of my family is like working as a roto artist. So like they are very, very skilled. So to do that, okay, draw a line and then multiply the complexity of the like the problem of the hairs and like this thin thread, right, like the wire over here, this, right, and now 1 second has 24 frames, right? Now for every second you have to do it 24 times. Now of course there are ways to do it in software, but try to like imagine it, right, doing that, drawing a line 24 times in like, you know, for the entire body or whatever your subject matter is, and like, you know, having the all these complexities. So that would be your automation. It's a very, very skilled job, but it's something that you can start on, right? It's relatively, it's like a stepping stone. People start on that and then move on to the other fields. But if you want to be a lead or a supervisor in that field also, you can be like really, you can develop your skill to God mode, right? So like that, those people are like really, I mean, the base on which Hollywood projects and Bollywood projects are like, you know, are built on. It's really tough. So that would be your automation, right? Then comes your prep. So like I told you, like Superman standing and the thread, we have to remove the crease and everything. That is there in prep. Plus, let's say like someone has shot a big shot and like, you know, there are people in their cameraman, like they have captured in them. So you have to remove the crew, the camera and everything, stuff like that. And plus, I think everyone has seen that green screen in the background, right? And they have like those markers, small markers. So that has to be removed before you can remove the king. So those people are from prep department. These things are done in prep, and it's like also very challenging. If you are good at technical skills, if you are good at good in Nuke, Foundry Nuke, or whatever software they are using, mostly it is Nuke itself nowadays. So those people do prep. Composting, like I told you, so like different elements, right? You bring different elements together. Compositor is basically kind of the last step before the movie. Kind of last, not the absolutely last, but kind of last. You take elements from, you take rotos, the output from roto, you take the output from prep department, you take the output from FX, you take output from light department, everyone rendering. So everyone gives you their elements, right? And then all the lines come down to you. Then you are sitting with everything, you have to input everything and like, you know, bring it all together and fix whatever needs to be fixing, okay, bring it, make it one coherent image, and then you send it off to the theater. It's like after you DIs and other stuff is there, but that is it's not part of production as much. It's more of a post production kind of a deal. So yeah, so that will be your compositing. That will be your third department that we talk about. Now, like going to the other line, going towards 3D, right? So in 3D there are two types of, different types of 3D. One would be your 3D characters. So there are people like, let's say Iron Man's suit, right? So someone had to model it, right? Someone had to model it. That would be one department. Then someone would be filling the textures in it, right? Whatever the scratches it has, whatever the shininess it has, speculars it has, right? What kind of material it has, that would be your texturing department, right? And then there will be another department which will be, let's say, rigging it, right? So if you just make a human being into a 3D software, that is not enough, right? It has to also move like a human being, right? So it has to have bones, like we have bones inside. So the bones help us move, right, in a certain way. That's why my like hand is like moving from here to here, right? It's not bending from here. So those kind of rules are set by riggers, right? And then from rigging, you go into animation. Then people like immensely talented people who are in animation, they like animate things, they move stuff that looks realistic, right? If you see old Disney movies, and even in 2D movies, even in the new Disney movies, you see they have a specific style of animation that looks so fluid, right? That looks so beautiful. If you see Frozen also, so those people are from animation. They are like really talented. I have a lot of respect with those guys. Then after all this is done, then the people lighters, right? So who give lighting to your scene. So right now you're seeing it, right? Some light is coming from a monitor, some light is coming from the other window, so stuff like that. So the people who light up the entire scene, that has to look realistic. You can't just put a bulb over there and like, you know, leave it at that, because that won't look realistic. It has to simulate the real world. Sunlight has a certain properties. Sunlight, other than sunlight, if there's moonlight has some properties. The local lights, that light that you have in your room, they have certain properties. So people in lighting, rendering, they have this immensely difficult job to render it out properly. And then it comes to compositing, to like, you know, tweak stuff and like, you know, to have it gelled with the environment, with the real life footage that they have shot. So it has to match, right? So like the footage that they have shot for Ant-Man or something like that, it has to, like, you know, whatever Ant-Man they have rendered in 3D model, like the small ones, so that has to match with the environment. So that has to be done, that it has to be properly lit up. So yeah, that is for rendering. Other than that, there's FX department. FX department has a immensely difficult job. So some of those jobs entail, let's say, some blast is happening, right? Which you can't, like, you know, nuclear explosions are happening, or simple blasts are happening, or some like, you know, place is getting flooded now. Like, if you can't ask the set people to, like, you know, pour a ton of water into the set and destroy everything. So you can't do that. So you simulate water, right? So you simulate water, you simulate fire, you simulate sparks, you simulate dust, you simulate clouds, like are also simulated sometimes. So those kind of things FX department does. Other than that, they simulate other things as well. So they simulate your hairs. So if 3D character is moving in the air or something, then your hairs have to flow along with your body, right? But they cannot be in one place. So my hairs would stay in one place because I have short hairs. If you have big hairs, they have a flow to them, right? So that kind of movement comes from FX department as well. Other than that, I mean, if you have like fur in your model, if it's a very like a Monsters Inc. kind of character, right? It has fur, so that also FX department does. So that's also again very technical department, a very like technically challenged challenging field it is, and like you have to be absolutely awesome at believe it or not, physics. Actually, if you are good in physics, if you are good in math, you will be really awesome in FX, because those people have to deal with all kind of stuff. You have to deal with gravity values, you have to deal with drag values, you have to deal with air velocity or randomness, all that kind of values that you have to deal with, and vectors and stuff like that I can't even fathom.